So David, thank you so much for being my guest today. I'm so excited to have an awesome conversation.
I am so excited, Kristel, to be here. I want to have a beautiful woo-woo conversation. Most people know me as a hard-hitting, pragmatic negotiator, and it's so nice to talk about something that I'm truly passionate about, the embodiment of who I feel I am and how we can empower other people the same way.
That's fantastic. I found out that you're into meditation and I was like, we're going to get along because meditation seriously has changed my life. And I started meditating maybe 4.5 years ago. And that's really everything in my life since that point has shifted. So I'm curious, like, just to hear a little bit about your journey and how you got into that.
Yeah, I probably, if you asked my wife 15 years ago, would have been the last person who ever would meditate. In fact, I was flying to India. I was running the most notable sports agency in the world, as you had mentioned, Leigh Steinberg Sports Entertainment. And this lady, she was a medical doctor sitting next to me, looked at me and she said, "Are you okay?" And now I was living in the world of ego-based consciousness at the time, completely narcissistic and money driven. And I looked at her like, "Do you know who I am? What do you mean, am I okay? Of course I'm okay." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because you're so full of light, but you're blocking it." And I
Wow.
rolled my eyes going, "This is gonna be the longest flight." This is my mindset 15 years ago. And I was like, well, thank you. And she said, "Do you meditate?" I looked at her and I went on this diatribe. Meditation? Why would I meditate? I grew up with nothing. I have been in control of my life. I don't have time to meditate. People who meditate are broke, sick, high on their mom's couch, dreaming about what they want to do instead of doing it. There's no way I would have time or any interest in meditation. And she looked at me and she said, "Wow, that's too bad because I could teach you to vibrate faster." I
Wow.
looked at her in complete puzzled, like, "What are you talking about vibrate faster?" She said, "Well, you can only be aware of that which vibrates equal to or less than you. The earth vibrates the slowest, then plants, animals, humans, sound, light, and then thought." And she said, "Do you know what thought vibrates the fastest?" And I begrudgingly is like, "No." And she said, "The truth. The truth vibrates the fastest. And I can teach you through meditation, quantum healing, theta meditation to elevate your awareness, your vibration, so that you can pursue your potential, your truth, your truth." And I can tell you, it intrigued me. And we got into further conversation, and she invited me to a workshop, and I still didn't want to go. I'm talking, like I said, I was the last person that ever would meditate. And then she hit me where it really counted. She was so smart. She said, "Oh, I'd really like you to come to the workshop because it's not just about what you think meditation's about. Imagine if I could raise your awareness, for example, when to buy or sell." And that's where she got me to try out meditation, gave me an economic benefit of learning to buy low and sell high through awareness and meditation. Now, over the last 15 years, like you, meditation has changed my life. I've meditated 20 minutes a day. I've become a quantum healer myself. I work within the quantum side of the subconscious and unconscious mind. I study physics, quantum physics, metaphysics, sit on transformational leadership council with the world thought leaders.
Cool.
But I still look back 15 years ago because I know most people, when I bring up meditation, I can see it on their face. They look exactly how I looked 15 years ago. And I'm blessed every day to have run into Dr. Sangeeta Sahi, who convinced me to meditate and learn how to be more aware so I can help other people and allow life to come through me.
Yeah, that's incredible. I think that probably is why you're such a great teacher because you've had those experiences, right? And like you can relate. People can't relate if you haven't gone through things yourself. So, I mean, you've had quite a journey and, a lot of lessons along the way, which we all have our lessons to learn. And one thing that stood out when I was listening to some of your other interviews was your resiliency. And, you really were able, and from what I could see, to keep a sense of kind of optimism amid all of the different struggles that you faced in your life. And I'm wondering where that came from, because from my perspective, you seem to have been able to overcome whatever limiting beliefs were holding you back. So how did you do that?
That's a great question. I, first of all, believe in quantum nature, meaning that we're blessed to be born with certain potentials. And one of those things that I was born with, a quantum nature of mine, is optimism,
Mhm.
to be able to find the light, the love, and the lesson in things. And so I also have an energy. If I have a spirit animal of any animal, it's a mule. I'm not very talented, not very beautiful, but I will outwork you. I will just keep going, and like the Energizer Bunny. And so I think those two things provided me what ultimately became my definition of happiness, which is so critical in my life and my mission to empower over 1 billion people to be happy, to create a collective consciousness of happiness, but to enjoy. So, quantum in my nature is to enjoy whatever it is I'm doing. I always say I learn to love what I do. And if I can't learn to love it, I won't do it. But I don't think I love what I do. I've learned to love it and I set forth to do so. So, enjoy the consistent every day and persistent without quit pursuit of my potential. And that definition of happiness, that ideology in my life has allowed me to expand, to grow, to accelerate, and it manifests itself in resilience, right? If you can enjoy consistent, persistent pursuit, you'll be resilient. In fact, I've learned that pain, which is a stop sign to so many people. They
Mhm.
think pain is telling them no. To me, pain is just an indicator. It's a turn signal. It's telling me, hey, you have a lesson to learn
Yep.
to move to a better place, a better position. In other words, that optimism and resilience that you asked me about, it tells me this. Number one, the optimist says, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm at the right place at the perfect time. The mule in me says, I'm going to give everything I have to angle to what I want. Notice I said angle. I'm not going to go straight at it because I have humility and knowledge that I don't know that I don't know. But where the interesting part becomes to me is faith, this thing that I constantly am practicing. Faith tells me that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm angling to what I want. But most importantly, I'm going to end up somewhere better. It's
Yeah.
that simple. I have a belief that in my perception, in my own energy, that I'm always expanding, growing, and learning. Therefore, no matter what happens, pain is just indicating I have something better coming. I just have to learn the lesson.
Mhm. That's incredible. And I relate to a lot of that. And I personally, when I started to meditate and I got into Reiki and energy, and I'm a Reiki master, and I have a very scientific background. I've trained traditionally in medicine, and that just changed my whole outlook on wellness. And, I became an integrative medicine fellow and just kind of got into that mind body connection. But it wasn't always that way for me. I didn't always have that. I didn't have that sense of knowing. And I'm curious for you, like, when did you always have that? Because for me, looking back, I really didn't. I didn't have that sense of faith until I think I started to tune into myself. Like, I was looking outside of myself for answers for a long time. And then when I started to go inward, that's when I really started to have those experiences of like feeling and knowing that there's something bigger that I'm connected to. Wondering what your experience with that was.
Yeah. So my experience started with the currency, an object of energy that I put into the flow called money. And you can see that sign behind me that most people comment on money doesn't buy happiness. But
Yeah.
for me, the first chapters of my life, money did buy happiness. I grew up with 6 kids and a single mom. My mom was, an education and driver, the doctor, lawyer, failure mom, the black belt and Jewish guilt mom, the fetus isn't fully developed till after graduate school mom. And my siblings, all 5 of them, ended up at the Ivy Leagues, really driven by my mom, summa cum laude in all the traditional professions. And I just wanted to be rich. Yeah. And the reason I wanted to be rich, like I said, I grew up quantumly happy. I was super happy at all times. The only time I was ever sad is when my mom would cry because we had a financial difficulty. We couldn't afford food or rent, or the car broke down. And in my mind, I wanted to take care of my mom. So I just wanted to be rich. And 9 months out of law school, I was a millionaire. And I bought my mom a house and a car, reaffirming money buys love and happiness. And then we sold that company for $3.4 billion in 1995, reaffirming money buys love and happiness. Then I went to the Silicon Valley, raised hundreds of millions of dollars. Money buys love and happiness. And I married my dream girl that hated me when I was a child and somehow loved me in my late 20s because I had this money, and money buys love and happiness. And I ended up running the first Samsung's, first Microsoft it was called the convergence device, but today we call them smartphones.
Yeah.
At 30, 30 years old, I'm a multimillionaire, married to my dream girl with a dream job. Then somehow I outdo myself and become CEO of the most notable sports agency, which they made the movie Jerry Maguire about. Once again, reaffirming love and happiness are bought with money. But I was never so unhappy.
Yeah.
Although that affirmation and reaffirmation occurred, I was empty. And, through several circumstances that occurred in my life, I ended up 2 years before I lost everything, believe it or not. I'm one of the few people, I'll tell you, that my bottom had a basement. That's how low it got. But it wasn't because I lost over $100 million. It was 2 years before I lost all of my money that I hit rock bottom because I didn't have the other currency in my life, the currency of faith. Still an object of energy that I put into the flow to get what I want. And fortunately for me, from my dad to my best friend to my mom and my wife, several circumstances had occurred that enlightened me to take a look, like you said, inwards. I decided I could not. My wife actually was the catalyst at the end, telling me that she was going to leave me, that I better take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become. And I started to realize that I could not find outside of me what I couldn't find inside of me, that I
Mhm.
live my life in two worlds. And one is a world of not enough, where I was a victim, everything happened to me. Then I moved to the world of for me, where I bought things I didn't need to impress people I didn't even like. And now I live in a world of through me. I give my life away. I'm connected to the greatest source of love, light, and lessons. And I look within to find what I want outside of me. And as you've learned as a healer yourself, as we heal inside, as we love ourselves, other people love us even more. And that was the quantum shift in my life in 2006, 2 years before I lost everything. And I have continued over the last 15 years to accelerate, grow, exponentially grow, and most importantly, enable me to empower other people to share those values, to share those practices, and to empower others to have a collective consciousness of simple happiness.
I love that. I think you have really learned so many valuable lessons. The thing that I'm really curious about is your relationship with money, because money is a tricky one for a lot of people, and myself included. Like I have had with just, I guess, the level of awareness that I've started to embrace throughout my spiritual practices, you start to notice where you're blocked or what limiting beliefs you have. And then it's okay, how can I transcend those, right? And for me personally, coming from a healthcare profession where I was taught to give, 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 you want to help everybody else, you want to heal. It was hard for me for a while to receive. And I realized that. And then it was kind of the process of allowing myself to receive and understanding that, when you receive, you have more to give. So you seem to be really good at this. So I'm hoping that you can give me some tips and also, my listeners some tips as well.
Well, you gave me such a great preface to that, because I think that's the greatest challenge that most people have, is reconciling the two currencies, the currency of money with the currency of faith. And part of it's because we grow up like you did. The more that I give, the more I receive. It's a great thought. Look, I get it, but mathematically, it doesn't make sense to me, because in the end, if you have a completely one sided equation of only giving, pretty soon there'll be nothing to give.
Yeah.
And so the truth is if you're truly a giver, then you need to be a receiver. Your intention needs to be to give everything you receive, but you need to make money first,
Mhm.
then help people, and then have a lot of fun, or have happiness. So for me, you can see it on, my website trademark: make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun. Well, you can't give what you don't receive. Gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, inspiration, all of those things are currencies as well. But money is a critical one. Why? Because money does not buy love. Money does not buy happiness. But what does money do in this world? It allows you to shop. And if you shop for the right things, if you shop for the right things, community centers, schools, scholarships, healthcare, whatever it is that truly is important to you, aligned with your values, synergistic, supplementary to a greater good, I promise you, money will buy you happiness and love if you shop for the right things. If you shop for the wrong things, and trust me, I have, buying new things and different things and things you don't need to impress people, especially impressing people you don't like, you're going to end up alone, miserable, and empty like I was. Surrounding yourself with the wrong people and the wrong ideas, putting your focus in the mathematical equation of luck, you're going to pay attention to and give intention to either the coincidences that other people want for you, coincidences that you don't want, coincidences that are missing in your life, instead of paying attention to and giving intention to the coincidences that you do want in your life. And that's the mathematical equation of luck. And so for me, it's very important that we get rid of the worthiness issues, the guilt issues, the resentment, the offense issues, and we learn to receive. Look, you came from nowhere. You are now here. You eventually will be nowhere some other day. And in the interim, your duty, your responsibility, and your passion purpose is to give your life away. That's why we're here, is to give your life away. And the more you have, the more you can give. So you need to be able to receive to really put into full effect the giving nature that you have. In other words, you don't give to receive as a trade or negotiation or a scarce type of energy. You receive so you can give in an abundant world, not of just enough, not of not enough, but an abundant world of more than enough of everything for everyone.
Yeah, that's great. I think a lot of it is that perspective, that abundance mindset. Wondering if you have any tangible advice or tips for people on how they can get into the receiving mode.
I do. Quick 5 practices. Number 1, you need to know your what. In order to receive, you need to know your what. Personally, what you want, experientially, what you want, giving wise, what you want, and receiving what you want. 2, you need to know your who. Notice I haven't brought up why yet. The why is natural, it will come, but you need to know your what and then your who. The best way to get to where you want to go is to find someone that's already there and ask them for directions. So, in person, on the phone, via email and media, just ask a question in full confidence that we're all connected, that everyone is a sponsor, a power sponsor, not a gatekeeper, and just ask, do you know anyone that can help me? Number 3, know your how. I gave up the equation of how, which is pay attention to, give intention to the coincidences you want. Utilize the mathematical equation of luck. Study, which is that formula, what you have planned, what you don't have planned, and even your sleep, which to me and you as healers know the great context of subconscious and unconscious connection with no ego interfering or corroding what we're trying to do. Then 4, stay present. And the easiest way to stay present, because this one, as that pragmatic non-meditator, the resistant human, scarce narcissist I was, people would tell me to stay present, and I had no clue what that meant. So pragmatically, do it now. Look, 100% of the things you do now get done. The difference between fulfilled, passionate, purposeful, and profitable people is they get stuff done. So ask yourself, can I do it now? And do it if it's aligned with your values of what, who, and how. And then finally, most importantly, practice ending fear. Be a ferocious Buddha. Identify what you're afraid of. Don't resist it, oversell it, back and sell it, undersell it, over it, under, through it. Just simply stop, breathe, go to center and neutral, find your baseline through meditation at the beginning of the day, and then roll in the right direction. Remember, when you're in ego-based consciousness, when you're afraid, your mind, body, and soul are on fire. Everybody knows when you're on fire, stop, drop, and roll. You'll get to where you want to be in a more efficient, effective, and statistically successful way.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think the meditation really can ground you. And I think sometimes people get overwhelmed with it because they think they have to meditate for 20 minutes. I meditate for 20 minutes. You meditate for 20 minutes. But people don't have to start there, right? It's like you can start with 3 minutes or 1 minute or 5 minutes, right? So I think that it's just starting with where you're at.
Yeah, I think that's true with everything. I have a great saying, 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. So I believe in consistent, persistent behavior. I vacation every day. I meditate every day. I spend 10 minutes with my teenagers every day. I spend 1 minute with my mom to tell them, my mom literally, that I'm happy, healthy, love, and appreciate her every day. Remember, you get the compound interest that Einstein talks about, exponential growth, acceleration, segmentation by doing things every day. You actually leverage the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious continuum without a zeroing effect. What zeroes us out is stopping and not doing something because we receive information through our cellular structure into the neural pathways of our mind, would activate, as you know, the quantum memory that exists in our DNA. That's how we can leverage this compound interest effect. So definitely, whatever you want to do, meditation, exercise, nutrition, I'm a big fan of lowering the bar. Lower it as low as you want to do so that you can do it every day for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It sounds like you have your priorities straight too. Like you're making choices every day on what's important to you. I think that people forget if you get in this autopilot, but everyone has a choice every single day of where to dedicate your time. So that's wonderful. I know we are coming to a close, so I'm hoping you can share about your Friday training, which is amazing, and then anything else that you have that you'd like to share with the audience.
Oh, thanks for the opportunity. So for over 20 years, I've been training people, and I give free trainings every Friday. We have now over 25,000 people registered for training every week. It's also my number one downloaded podcast. I have a podcast called The Playbook, which has the biggest celebrities, athletes, entertainers, millionaires, billionaires, and entrepreneurs. And it's a blessing and really encourages me that beyond the Cameron Diaz's of the world and the Ray Lewis's of the world, that more people tune in to listen to these trainings that can include, how to pitch for my pitch show, 2-minute drill, or how to sell, or ego. I do an ultimate ego training. I'm doing a mommy issue training. So we cover the entire gambit in the trainings. The replays, they're every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific. The replays are on Spotify, Entrepreneur, every platform. I've written tons of books. I give everything away for free. Just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. I'll sign a book. I'll send it to you. I'll pay for shipping. Exercises, guides, all are free. My trainings are free. david@dmeltzer.com, or just search my name. You'll find me at David Meltzer on Instagram, etc. But I am here with one mission. And Kristel, you're part of that mission now, because I'm looking for 1,000 people like Kristel that I know in my lifetime will empower 1,000 people to empower another 1,000 people simply to be happy. Do the math: 1,000 times 1,000 is a million times 1,000 is a billion. We're going to create together, Kristel and I, a collective consciousness of happiness, of abundance, of more than enough. And we're going to change the world, because everybody knows happiness can be shared simply by witnessing it. It will strengthen everyone mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially. And if you're even worried, it'll strengthen your immune system. So it'll help you from and protect you from any other viruses that you might be afraid of. I certainly appreciate this opportunity, Kristel. What a pleasure. And I look forward to coming back on and doing this again.
Oh, it was wonderful, David. You rock. Check out his stuff, everyone. This is such a pleasure. Thanks so much.
You're awesome. Thank you very much. Take care.